Let me go back to the first page. We'll start chapter 1. The SD50 Operator's Manual. Locomotive. General description. General Motors model of the SD50 diesel electric locomotive figure 1.1 equipped with a turbocharged 16-cylinder diesel engine which drives the main generator, electrical power of the main generator distributed with the traction motors through high voltage control cabinet which each six to traction motor is geared directly to the pair of a driving wheel. Maximum related traction motor speed of the gear ratio of the traction motor to the wheel axle determines the maximum operation speed of the locomotive. The basic locomotive is arranged and equipped with a short hood of the cabin, considering the front and forward part of the unit, and however the locomotive operates equally well in either direction on the special order may be arranged with so that the long hooded end is forward and the dual controls may be provided, while each locomotive is independent power system services may be combined in multiple operations to increase load capacity. The operating controls on each unit are jumped in the train line to allow the locomotive to be simultaneously controlled by the lead unit. The locomotive operation storage batteries provided by the engine required to start the locomotive engine operation. To start the batteries provided by the engine required to start the diesel. The engine starts with the control battery power to the two starting motors solenoids mounted in the lower right hand side of the engine. The electrical solenoids engage in the starting motor pinions. Upon the engine ring ears, both pinions are engaged and the battery power is applied to the starting motors to the crank of the diesel. The diesel engine must be primed with the fuel prior to starting. To do this, the operator places the engine start switch into the full prime position. This engine applies to the fuel pump with the pressure injector system. This pump moves to the full fuel in the fuel tank under the locomotive into the injectors. An entire system has been supplied with fuel. The injectors position a cylinder will fire the engine is cranked. The engine running in the fuel pump motor is supplied directly to the auxiliary generator. Diesel engine is the source of the locomotive power. The engine is running directly derives three electrical generators associated with the cooling fans, multi-cylinder air compressor, traction motor blower, and the water and lube oil pumps. The engine drives the components to the locomotive system must be converted the engine power to the other forms to perform the individual functions. The main generator rotates the engine, generates the alternate current power. The power is then converted to direct current power is by an internal rectifier banks directed by the traction motor. The companion alternator physically coupled to the main generator supplies the current to excite the main generator field to the power of the radiator, cooling fans, the internal filter blowing, and the various transductors and control devices. 3. The auxiliary generator is driven by the engine gear train and 3 times engine speed is at 3 times the engine speed. It provides 74 volts of DC output to the excitation current to the complete companion alternator. The auxiliary generator also supplies 74 volts of power needed to control the cab, heating, locomotive lighting, and battery charging circuits. The air compressor is located directly in the engine driving supplies necessary air pressure for the brakes of the pneumatic devices such as sanders, windshield wipers, shutting operational cylinders, and horns. Engine gear train has 2 centrifugal water pumps for the circulate the current coolant through the engine. 6. The lube oil also connected to the engine of the gear of the train supplies the lubricating oil for the critical operating surfaces of the engine. Major components of the diesel electric locomotive taking power from the diesel engine. The electrical nature of the system is the scenes that the conversion application of the control power. The main generator supplies electrical energy to the high voltage control of the cabinet. It establishes distribution of the power for the traction motors means of the internal switch guards. The switch guard consists of the power contactors, relays, switches in the direct of the flow of the power as directed by the control circuits. The control circuits are low voltage 74 volt DC devices respond to operating control of the cabinet operating conditions. A major part of the locomotive control system involves related functions of the throttle governor and load regulator, and the engine governor holds the engine speed at the constant RPM is set by the throttle. If it does this in changing the position injector racks with the control amount of the full supply to each cylinder. Actual operating conditions creating verifying train loads. When the load changes, the load regulator acts as vary generator to vary the exit generator excitation. To the load regulator to balance the governor speed settings of the throttle, the engine power level determined by the load. As throttle is advanced, as throttle is advanced. If the throttle is advanced to the higher position, the electrical control system must be current to the flow through the field of the main generator. The increase in the excitation current results in increase the power of the traction motor, the locomotive power also well as the engine speed increases progressive throttle speed. The many control protective or circuits designed to use solid state components as printed components printed on circuit boards. The circuit boards are constructed by the plug-in models for easier service. Electrical models module control critical functions as locomotive power systems. There are 6 DC traction motors located on the trucks under the locomotive. Each traction motor is generally directly on the axle, which is mounted. The motors supplied through the high voltage control cabinet on the rear cab. Section 2 controls and devices and